Next up, we have Nicole Mangina. Nicole, most of you know her. She's our Headspace mindfulness master. Mrs. She's going to talk to us, though, about questions we should be asking.
Yay. Wow. Thank you, Jana. That was powerful. My dad was in the Air Force, so thank you for that. Yes, I am usually, well, we're still going to get some energy in today because I believe it's important. And that's my sweet spot because you need action. I would love to tell you that I could teach you the meditation that we all just go home and make $1 million in the next 30 days. I have yet to figure out that one. When I do, you'll be the second to know. So in the meantime, well, I don't know, talk to Cora about a refund. I don't know. But so you got to take action, but when you do it with the right energy, that's when you get the magical results. So we're going to talk about the questions we don't ask, but should. Have you ever had that moment with a client where you're like, I am good at what I do. I am crushing it. You're going along only to find out maybe you're not, because they have a totally different idea on how this whole thing's supposed to work. Like my seller that had the super quirky listing that when I put it on, I'm like, oh, it's a good thing I signed a long listing agreement because I might have this thing for a while. So when we get a full price offer the first day on the market, again, I think I'm crushing it. And I call him and he goes, well, I thought I needed at least 2 weeks before I could look at an offer. I mean, isn't that how you know that you got full market exposure? Like, I'm not prepared to meet with you today. I don't think I really want to sign anything. That would have been good to know before I hit active in the MLS, right? So clearly I didn't ask the right questions because as an agent, we get so caught up in, well, we know the market. We know the best way to get them the best result for them that when we meet, we're so busy presenting, we forget to engage by asking questions beyond the basics of, how many bedrooms and baths do you need? What price do you want for your listing? But what I've found is, again, as agents, we don't ask enough questions. When you do, though, you bring them over to your side of the table. It becomes a conversation versus just a presentation. Everything gets easier. You'll know what to talk about. You show up, we all have these big toolboxes of things that we do for our clients. And all of them matter. You will likely use all of those tools, but you don't need to cover all of them in that first appointment. You just need to know which ones matter to them. Right? And when you do, you hone in on that. That is your first step to differentiating yourself and making sure you're not a commodity. Because we're not, right, Marguerite? We are not commodities. Right questions. This is how you get there. So I have 12 questions that I use throughout my time in a transaction with my client. We're going to go over 6 of those today. At the end, there's a QR code, and you can download all 12. So we'll dive into 6, but there are 12 total. And what I found is that when I use these, not only do I convert better, I get my fee, and then they become repeat and referral clients because getting from point A to point B, getting the transaction closed, that's the bare minimum. How you do it affects the repeat and referral business, which is what we're really after with this whole thing. Yeah, power questions. So goal questions. What's your definition of success? Would have been super helpful to know that before I put that listing on the market. But because I do learn from my mistakes, the next time I met with a seller and I said, hey, what's your definition of success? And he says, I need to know I didn't leave any money on the table. All right, well, I think I know how to do that. How do you think you're going to get there? He says, well, I got to start high. Like if you sell my house in the first week, I'm going to be mad. Okay. But I knew it at the right moment in time this time, so it went so much better. He goes, I got to start high and I want to basically back into my price. Okay. I can work with that. And we did have a conversation. I did explain to him why I think it might be better if he did it my way. But he didn't, whatever, he wants to do it his way. So great. So we talk about that. Okay, so here's the parameters we're going to work with. Every 8 to 10 qualified buyers through your house or 21 days, and we're doing a price reduction. That is the metric in our market to road test a price. So if we get to either of these parameters and you don't have an offer, we're going to drop the price and this is how much. And so we agree to that before it ever goes on the market. 90 days in, 3 price reductions later, But you know what he signs? We get an offer. And when he signs that offer, he looks at me and says, I feel so good about this. I didn't leave any money on the table. Now, do I agree with him? No, but he's a happy client. And that's really all I care about. And the side benefit is every one of those 90 days, I slept great. I wasn't stressed. And he took my calls the whole time, because you know those times when you don't have those conversations up front and you need to call and get a price reduction and your client knows and they will not take your calls for anything, right? They are radio silent because they know what you're calling for and they don't want to do it. He took my calls. It was, again, do I think he left money on the table? 100%. It's not what it's about. I believe you cannot price and market effectively or negotiate for your buyer effectively without first knowing what their definition of success is, because everybody's is different. We all have different drivers. What we do is big stuff. It is not about bedrooms and baths. It is about what's going on in their life that is requiring this move to happen. And it could be good. It doesn't even have to be something bad that's precipitating this move, but this is as emotional as it gets, right? I love the engineers. Who is Lauren? You're like, I love engineers, because I had some engineer, I work with a lot of them, but I remember this one guy, he was so funny, because he's like, I'm an engineer, I'm gonna need 30 days, don't you dare ask me to buy a house before 30 days. I'm like, that's cool, dude, I need to sell a house in 30 days too, so that's fine. First day out, we walk in and his wife goes, but honey, I want this one. And he just laughs, and I'm like, so you feel like you're buying a house today? He's like, yeah, I totally am. What are you most concerned about? We all have fears relative to buying and selling houses. If you know that ahead of time, you can preempt a lot of that. So what are your clients' goals? And it's amazing how many agents don't ask questions, don't ask these things. There's gold in this stuff. Agent questions. What's most important to you in an agent? We're all so afraid to ask. Now, admittedly, this question gets a lot of the same answers. They want you to be trustworthy and honest and good at what you do. So it's not, rarely do you uncover something new or different with that question, but it allows them to be heard. And in every single question you ask, assuming there's two people or more than one person involved, it is important that you ask each person. One person will likely answer first, great, so you look them in the eye, and as soon as they're done, you look the other person in the eye, and you say, and what's most important to you in an agent? They may have the same answer, a lot of times they don't. It doesn't matter if the answer is the same or different. It's about making sure every single person feels heard. Again, most of my talks are cautionary tales, because clearly I've done it all wrong. And then learned how to maybe make some adjustments. Early in my career, I would likely just wait for one person to answer. The person that answers second is usually the person that drives the bus. And when something goes wrong, if that person hasn't felt heard, they will throw you under the bus so fast your head will spin. So you gotta make sure they both answer. Do you believe the agent you hire matters? Ask your client that question. It matters who says it. We can tell them we're different and not all agents will get you the same result. But it's one thing if we say it, it's another thing when they say it. Because if you can get them to say yes, it's not about your fee anymore. It's about the agent who's going to make the biggest difference. And it's about also breaking it down. When we're negotiating fee, you are usually negotiating, what, 0.5%? 1% at most. Every single one of us in this room can swing a transaction way more than 0.5% or even a full percent by knowing what we're doing. So you need them to answer that question out loud. If the answer is yes, it's not about your fee. And you know what? If the answer is no, don't you kind of want to know that ahead of time? And that may or may not be the person you want to work with, because they will work you on fee. They will never be happy. They will call you at 11 o'clock at night and be upset when you didn't answer, and likely go buy and sell with somebody after they've run you around for the last 6 months. All right, so if that answer is no, you may or may not want to work with that client. It matters who says it. Emotional questions. What if you lose? We are more motivated by the fear of loss than we are the prospect of gain. And I'm an energy person, so I'm all about positive energy. And man, I get suckered into this thing too. So with your buyers, I want to offer X. Great, we can write that offer. If I called you and told you that you lost because somebody else paid X plus, how are you going to feel about that? I'm not going to feel that great about it. Okay, so we should probably amend your offer then. And I do that with my buyers on all of the different points in the transaction. You know, price, terms. If I called and said you lost because somebody did this and you didn't, how are you going to feel about that? And we get to the point where, especially with price, there's going to be a point. There's a point at which they're sad they lost. And then there's a point at which they think, you know what, at that price, somebody else can have it. Like, it's a great house. I'm just not going to want it at that point. Awesome. So you're going to sleep well. Cautionary tale, especially back to when the market was super hot and we're giving away everything. So great, we've decided what you want to offer. So if I call you tomorrow and I'm like, oh my God, you're buying a house, this is so great. We're celebrating, right? Like on the other end of the phone, I want to hear, oh, yay, you're amazing and great, I'm buying a house today. I have had it where sometimes people come back and they're like, well, shoot, I'm just super competitive. I didn't really want to win. I just didn't want to lose. Like, well, we just read all your contingencies, so you're going to have to figure out how to get happy super fast. Or call an attorney because you're buying this house. So, and I have had clients come back to me and say, you know what, that was one of the most valuable questions you asked me. What if I win? Because then it allowed, you know, because again, what if you lose is one driver, but the what if I win helps them really envision themselves, like, is this really the house I want to be in? Same with sellers. You know, I had a seller in the fall, he had a condo, there's 8 condos on the market in their kind of price point in their area. We're the only one that gets an offer, and it's low. So I'm talking to the seller, he goes, you know, I kind of want to tell him to take a hike. I'm like, yeah, me too. I don't love your price. And again, I'm not going to tell you that you need to love the price, but you're the only one with an offer. So if you want me to tell him to take a hike, I will deliver that message with feeling. But if they do take a hike, how are you going to feel about that tomorrow? He's like, I'm really not going to feel that great about it because I've already moved and I've already got a new place and I don't really want to carry this. And I did tell him, I said, look, this is a great place. If this person takes a hike, I can sell your place again, right? It's not that we're never going to sell it, but if we sell it 3 months from now for the same price or likely less, because you have market time, you will have lost this buyer. How do you really feel about that? He's like, I don't feel that great. I think we should just take the offer. Great. And you know what? It was awesome. We were actually the only one that sold in the whole 45 days that we were under contract. But also, what if you win? You know, sometimes sellers are nervous and like, well, shoot, I guess I just got to take this offer. And that may be the right answer, but what if you win? How are you going to feel tomorrow after you sign this purchase and sale agreement? And I want them to try that on. I want them to envision that as much as they can so that when they do wake up the next day, again, this guy, I think it was like 15% under the asking, but he felt good about it because we had walked through all of these different scenarios with him. So what if you lose? But also, what if you win? Anything you can do to get your client through the scenario before they actually do it, before you're in the moment, sets you apart from other agents. Because again, we just get there, we're just so focused on getting them to sign that contract, whether it's a listing contract or a buyer broker agreement, and we think we're gonna figure it all out down the road. And you can, but man, that is so much harder. What could be a 30-second conversation in your initial appointment now becomes hours of conversation, which again, never happened between the hours of 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. They happen during family dinner on Sunday night, or while you're trying to be at a conference and hang out with all your best friends. And when you say it up front, you've differentiated yourself, you've established your fee, but you've done it like in that initial appointment, you're professional, right? You are the professional when you want to know what their definition of success is. If you don't ask and you get under contract and your client says, well, shoot, I wasn't prepared to talk to you for 2 weeks. Now I'm just the schmarmy agent who wants to get paid, right? That's how they view it. That's not what my intention was. I thought I was doing a great job because I got his quirky listing sold that he didn't have to sit on the market for 6 months. But he feels like I just want to get paid now and try and talk him into signing something. And that's really too bad because I know likely all of us have had those moments and that wasn't our intention, but that's the public's takeaway. So when you ask the right questions up front, it's beautiful. But asking questions is only the first half of the equation. The other differentiating part is actually listening to the answer. So I've been doing this for 29 years, and 29 years ago when I first got into real estate, they had, like, I think it was literally called objection handling school, where, yeah, right, you guys, some of you guys know what I'm talking about, where you say this and your client says that, and then you're supposed to have this super witty comeback that you just say like 3 words and like, okay, cool, and they sign the contract. It never went that way. Right? You would say something, they would say an objection, but then they'd keep talking and you don't hear any of the extra stuff. You're just waiting until they stop talking so you can say what you're supposed to say to get them to sign the contract. But again, it never works. Listening is really that is where the gold is. In fact, this applies to all of your life. By the way, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine she's dating, and I was like, so how do you know when it's the guy? Like, how do you know when to stop dating around because you found the one? She goes, I said, what's the sexiest thing a man could do? She goes, that's easy. She's somebody who asks me a question and listens to the answer. She's like, that's the guy, right? Same, not that you're trying to like date your clients, but maybe. But the same thing applies, that all of us just want to be heard in any conversation. And the gold in how to serve your clients and how to differentiate yourself from another agent is in listening to the answer. But how amped up are we usually in our conversations with our clients? Whether it's that first appointment or a negotiation, we're not fully listening to what they have to say, or we listen to the first part and we're just trying to cut them off to give them our, awesome answer. So, because I like to work in a little energy work, we're gonna do a breathing exercise. I have taught this to so many agents. It has made the biggest difference. Agents call me all the time and tell me they use this, and it makes a difference in their conversations. They use it in their negotiations, especially when they're starting to get tense. Navy SEALs use this when they're trying to regulate their nervous system and stay calm and focused. So if a Navy SEAL can benefit from this, I'm thinking it's going to help you in your next listing appointment. You don't have to I'm going to walk you through it. It's basically a box where we're going to inhale, you're going to hold your breath, exhale, and then hold your breath. I will count you through this. We're going to do 3 rounds, but I want you to you can close your eyes or not. Nobody else is going to be looking at you. Everybody's just going to be focused on themselves. But notice where you're at right now. Notice the energy in the room. Notice just how you're feeling, where your thoughts are. And then we're going to do a little check-in after you do this breathing exercise. So we're going to go ahead and start. I want you to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Last time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And then go back to your regular breathing. Notice a difference in the room. Notice a difference in yourself. How would you listen differently? And what did that take? 2 minutes, maybe? How would you show up differently to a conversation with this energy? Do you think you might hear something that you would have missed otherwise? Do you think you might connect with people differently? Just doing something as simple as that, right? It makes the biggest difference. Here is that QR code. Again, you can download these 6 questions plus the other 6 that I use with every transaction. They're simple questions. They're easy to say. There's no awkward, like, anyway, whatever. You all know the awkward questions people tell you to ask. Oh, there you go. So thank you for joining me today. I wish you all the best. Here's to creating something great.